Thank you for calling Hail Mary Hotline. This is Bridget. Please hold while I transfer you.
Welcome back to Hail Mary Hotline. I'm your host, Taylor.
I'm your host, Sarah.
And it's a sad day.
We've definitely seen better, but for anybody that's been following us for a while, this is exactly how Hail Mary Hotline started. So a bit of a very unfortunate full circle.
Yeah. I would really like to not dwell on that, but It's okay. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll just get right into it. Quarterfinals were this past week, and I can definitely say that a lot of these did not go the way that I thought they were going to.
I can say it's the bye month, because I think bye week is just disrespectful to the teams that are on byes.
I think if they expand to 16 like they're talking about doing and getting rid of the bye week, I think you're going to see a lot more competitive games and maybe not have a situation like Oregon, Texas Tech, because that was sad.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these were. I mean, bye week teams are 1-7 all time,
which is atrocious.
I know.
Yeah.
It makes you almost not want to win your conference because you're better off having that extra week to play instead of not.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I guess we'll get right into it. The first semifinal of the week was Miami, Ohio State. And I got to say, this is not at all how I thought this was going to go.
Ohio State was definitely disappointing. I will say they looked deflated, slow. Not even just defeated the whole game, but deflated. Their O-line, I think, was the best thing about them this whole game. And outside of that, it was messy.
It was. It wasn't the clean, polished Ohio State team that you've gotten used to seeing and that we kind of saw last year. But Miami won 24-14. And honestly, the whole game, I was kind of looking at it and being like, oh, well, Miami will choke, Ohio State will come back. That's what they do. And it just never happened.
Mm-hmm. Ohio State's last first half shutout was in 2016. So that should tell you about how this game went. It started with being just their biggest deficit in 3 years. They usually don't ever start out like this.
No.
And then halftime rolls around. That's one of the first thing the announcer said. That's what I have in my game notes. Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State only had 45 rushing yards because Miami's defensive line is that good.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Their offensive line is one of the best that I've seen in the country, which I didn't totally realize how good they were, but I'm pretty impressed by that.
I am too. And Carson Beck went 19 for 26, 138 yards and 1 touchdown. Sayan, who one of the announcers came up and said was the best player in college football, which is a wild statement, I must say. And he's not.
He's not.
Went 22 for 35, 287 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I would also like to point out Miami rushed for 153 yards, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
Because that Mark Fletcher for Miami had 19 carries for 90 yards. He is really good.
I think that it's the same thing that we were talking about when we brought up Indiana, Alabama before all of those games and kind of what it would take to win. And I think it's clock management, which is something that we saw Miami really step up on and Ohio State really drop the ball on.
Absolutely.
Like some of the worst clock management I've seen from them. And they're usually pretty consistent, keep a really good tempo. Granted, they haven't, honestly, and this was the biggest thing that was called into question after they lost, was they haven't been winning as big to these kind of low-grade teams as they should have been and things like that, which, all does, kind of make more sense, I will say. But clock management, really smart football by Beck. He's looking a lot cleaner. I will say he's looking like a much better quarterback at Miami than he ever did at Georgia, which, honestly, good for him.
Yeah.
Still don't like him. Don't get it twisted.
We are not Beck apologizers.
However,
he did have a very good game. And it just, kind of like you said, Ohio State didn't look quite as well coached. And, it's amazing. You play cupcakes all year, and then you play 2 real teams and get beat by both of them.
Yeah. And Ryan Day was the first to say in his press conference after the game that this was not how they were supposed to go, that he didn't prepare them well enough and that they were underprepared and outcoached and outplayed by good God, were they outplayed and outcoached.
Yes.
So honestly, I think it's better from Ryan Day that we are seeing a little bit of accountability when it comes to these games and not just oh, big whoop, it's a fluke, like, we'll be back, whatever. But
I can appreciate the responsibility.
I can appreciate the responsibility for once.
Yes. And, I mean, a big part of that, Keontae Scott had a 72-yard pick six off of Sagan.
Yeah, that was unruly to watch.
That's kind of how the rest of the game went, in my opinion. Like, after that, it was kind of like, oh, wait a minute here. Like, maybe Ohio State isn't quite as good as we thought they were.
Or as good as they claim to be.
Yeah, that's
I'll say that.
I'd also like to point out, in true Ohio State fashion, they missed a field goal. And they are also 0-3 in playoff games on New Year's Eve. Just
point it out.
Yeah, that's all.
Georgia has the Bends. Apparently, Ohio State has New Year's Eve.
No, Georgia has the Sugar Bowl. That's what we have.
But
I digress. We'll get there. But I'm still kind of in shock from this one. I really did not think that Miami was going to win this game, let alone by 2 scores. But, I mean, hey, good for them. I can't appreciate that there's different teams in the Final Four this year, because at least it makes it like, you know, you can root for somebody because they haven't won it in a long time, or they've never won it.
Yeah, that was the other big thing after Georgia got out, that this is our first playoff without Alabama, Ohio State, or Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is insane that we've always been up there, except for the one year we dropped 5 spots, and I'm still salty about it. But
will be till the day we die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've always been up there. And honestly, we'll get to it. Nobody can look at our season and not be proud of what we did.
No, absolutely not. Which we will get there. But also, because Ohio State did lose to Miami, still the only team to win back-to-back CFPs is Georgia. So,
just putting it out there.
So the Orange Bowl was New Year's Day at noon, and Oregon killed Texas Tech 23-0. Texas Tech didn't look very good. They didn't look like they wanted to be there.
And Oregon had something to prove. After beating JMU, they felt like they lost.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
JMU scored 34 points. And I love JMU, whoever runs your social media, give them a pay raise.
Well done.
Well done. The trolling after this game was hilarious.
It was so good. James Madison scored more than Texas Tech and Texas A&M combined.
Which is insane.
Which is nuts.
So the state of Texas is really on a downgrade right now, and we'll definitely get into that once we get to our player news and transfer portal.
Oh, yes, that we will.
But Oregon really did have something to prove after JMU. I think that they did exactly what you're supposed to do in the postseason and get it all out of your system. Really run through teams. And Notre Dame, I'm looking straight at you when I say that.
Yeah.
But it just still, I can't believe there were a lot of fumbles in this game. I will say there were 5 overall, 3 by Oregon. How none of them were lost is beyond me.
But
and
Texas Tech had 4 turnovers.
Yeah, 4.
2 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. Like, holy ball security. What in the world?
Yeah, that number 4 seed stands for turnovers now.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and for somebody who has been pumping millions of dollars into NIL to build a championship level team and to go out and not score.
Yeah.
Maybe we reevaluate our priorities here. Maybe you're a softball school. I don't know.
We'll see.
That we will. But, I mean, 10 first downs all game. You only rushed for 78 yards. You really only threw for 137 with 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. That's a terrible game.
Yeah, the 18 for 32 on the Texas Tech side versus Oregon's 27 for 34, 245 yards.
Yeah.
And only 1 interception. Honestly, less than 200 yards in a playoff game is just...
it's kind of sad.
It's disappointing.
You're looking like your Texas neighbor down the road. But,
yeah.
Oh, well. But that was just... Again, I expected that one to be competitive. I kind of expected that one to be the best game of the weekend, and it was a blowout.
It was. I will say Dante Moore definitely got it out of his system.
Oh, he did.
Played a great game. And their backup, James Ferguson Reynolds, also got in there for a play. Congrats on your 100% completion rate.
Yay!
Yeah. Moving on to bigger and brighter things, our beloved Rose Bowl, Alabama, Indiana. Final score 38-3. Indiana, thank God.
It's so beautiful. It made the pain of Georgia losing just a little bit better because Alabama lost by 35, which, if you're keeping track, that's 5 scores. So,
and the announcers definitely would not let them forget it. I've highlighted Alabama, one of the winningest teams in all of college football, losing to Indiana, which is one of the most losing teams in all of college football. The losingest team in all of college football until this season. They had a 15% sack rate up until like the first quarter of this game. I had that they needed to, make bigger plays. I wasn't as confident in the first quarter. Something happened at halftime, though, and they just really snapped out of it.
Yeah.
Because this, thankfully, ended up being Alabama's largest postseason loss in Bama history and their second straight 4-loss season. So
it's such a shame, isn't it? But, I mean, Indiana had twice as many first downs. They had 22. Bama had 11. Bama only rushed for 23 yards on 17 carries, which is terrible. Indiana had 50 carries for 215 yards. Indiana had 407 total yards. Bama had 193. Yikes. But there were only 2 penalties all game. I will say that most of the refs, like, kind of across all the playoff games, kind of let them play.
They really did. And I'll say, I forgot to mention it, Ohio State, the first call that stuck like the entire game came in the last 7 minutes, and it was on Ohio State for holding.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of like missed calls across the board, and we'll get to it. Sugar Bowl was atrocious.
Oh my goodness.
Like looked like the Pop-Tart Bowl. I had some conversations with some people after that game about the refs and the calling and just some horrible, horrible things.
Yes.
But this was definitely something like in the first quarter, Alabama's longest run of the day was 9 yards.
That's pretty sad.
I mean, if you're Ty Simpson, most of your yards come from rolling to the outside. So let's start with that. Most of your rush yards come from behind the line.
Yeah. So,
just anyway.
Yeah,
It is kind of important to note the lack of penalties in all of these games.
Yeah, all of them. But would also like to point out, now, Ty Simpson did get hurt at the end of the first half, which is, I think, yet another reason why Bama got beat so bad. But even in the first half, he was 12 for 16 for 67 yards. Like,
it just, and ribs are bad.
Oh, ribs are bad.
Knowing some people with rib injuries, that one will stick with you.
Yes,
and I know
will.
that there was rumor of a back injury, possibly like a herniated disc type situation before this game that was just kind of rumor that he was playing hurt, but after some of those hits, you can't ignore that.
No, you can't. And not that I think he's a great quarterback anyway. Like, he's not bad by any means, but he's also not stellar. But once he left the game, I think that's kind of when Bama knew, you know what, this is it. But still, 3 points, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of any of the like dynamic of their offense does come from Ty Simpson.
I agree.
I'll say he's a very smart quarterback.
He is.
That's what I've seen. He definitely he has the ball knowledge. He doesn't always execute, but he like knows what he's doing and where he's going, which is half the battle. To be honest, that was half our battle with Carson Beck. Was he knew everything, he just couldn't
throw it to the right people half the time.
Yeah,
but yes, he is definitely a smart quarterback. And I mean, they can't run the football at all. They haven't been able to all season. So a lot of their offense has come from Simpson being able to throw. And once he comes out of the game and you're having to put your backup in, who really has not had a lot of game experience, it's just a tough situation, especially at the Rose Bowl, season on the line. At some point, you got to look at it and say, you know what?
Not all backups are Gunnar Stockton.
No.
So I think Georgia's definitely 1 in a million in that way.
Yeah.
And just kind of what we've been avoiding the Sugar Bowl. Final score 39-34 Ole Miss.
At least it was a close game. At least it was an interesting game.
Interesting is definitely a word for it.
That is a word for it. There were 8 penalties total. Ole Miss had 4 for 48. Georgia had 4 for 38. But the amount of missed penalties in this game specifically, holy moly.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I have missed call face mask from defense on Cash Jones. I have another missed call face mask on Georgia.
Yep.
I have another, let's see, holding on offense, missed block in the back, missed face mask, another missed block in the back, missed PI.
A lot of those.
Another missed PI. There were way too many face masks in this game, I'm going to be honest, that went unnoticed.
Yeah.
Like, with the ref kind of staring at what was happening.
I know, like the one that they missed on Georgia, like, defender had a hold of his face mask, and they replayed it, and I'm like, are they not going to throw a flag on that? But I guess not. But
Yeah.
the one that kind of gets me is the hit on Gunnar Stockton. And if you watch that game, you know which one I'm talking about. If that had happened in an NFL game, they would have kicked that defender out so fast. So I don't really understand how there was nothing on that one.
I mean, he's still a defenseless player. It's still, even if it's like right at the chin, it's still neck up. It's still head and neck area, and he took a really bad hit. But thank God he recovers, and he's literally made of nails because he scored on the next play.
Yes, but he was not as sharp after that hit either.
No,
so you can tell it definitely got to him.
Yeah.
And I love Gunnar. I love that he puts himself on the line like that because he gets a lot of respect from a lot of people, but you can't take too many hits like that. That one was a scary looking hit.
Yeah, and I think that one also comes down to the O-line and missed assignments. I have one really big note on our left guard where he went inside instead of outside, and that was it. That was that sack. So I think, again, that's where, like, the same reasons that we were on Bobo so hard the first couple of weeks of the season was, you know, missed assignments and digging your nose in the ground. We need to look up at the nose tackle that's coming at you.
Yep.
But where O-line did look better, I'll say the first half of this game. After halftime, I don't know what happened. We just deflated. This was the worst second half that I've seen us play in all season. I'll say, honestly, we really deflated. We did not own the second half or the fourth quarter, clearly.
No.
So any of you laughing, just shut up.
Yeah. We're such a second half team, and going into halftime, it was kind of a feeling of like, well, you know, Kirby will get them together. He'll do what he always does. We'll come out and have a competitive second half, maybe win by a score. And it looked like we got worse, which is it's not on brand for a Georgia team at all. It's usually, you know, first half, you're looking at the field like, what on earth are we doing? And then second half, we figure it out. And I don't know. I think a big part of it was those couple of hits that Stockton took because he looked nervous. He looked a little confused, like he wasn't necessarily reading the field and throwing to the right guys. Because there were a lot of times they had one linebacker, I can't remember what number he was, but he blocked several of Stockton's passes because he was lasered in on one receiver, and you could see exactly where he was throwing it.
Number 52.
Yes, that's the one. Yes. But like 4 or 5 passes because he's locked in on his one receiver and he's not looking anywhere else. So he's predictable, and your defender's right there. You're throwing it right into his arm.
It killed us. And that's also where the O-line started to really settle, which was the big issue, I'll say. And I think that also made Gunnar nervous was because he did take a few really big hits. And
he did.
I think where that trust is usually there, I mean, I don't blame him. I'd start to lose it a little bit after that too. But it came down to where he wasn't reading the field as great as he usually does. I think he was looking a little too quick. He wasn't really shifting through his options, but I don't think he had the time to.
No, he didn't.
I know that we missed a couple of really big throws to Branch.
Yeah.
Who was downfield a little bit, but he couldn't make it to look downfield.
No, he didn't have the time that he usually does. Our line was not blocking quite as well as they typically do. But
so that's where he just lateral passed to the outside, and that's what killed us because the Ole Miss defense, I will say, definitely stepped up this game.
Absolutely.
I do have to put a little bit of respect on that. They definitely controlled the outside, and that is really what killed us. Their man-to-man was unreal. And on the other side of that, I will say where I expected us to play a little bit more man-to-man, we played zone, and I think that our defense was not on the ball. And I will say clearly by the amount of missed tackles and missed sacks.
The sacks
was atrocious.
Oh my goodness. You have Chambliss running like 20 yards in the backfield, almost in his own end zone, and you can't lock him down, and you let him run for almost a first down. Like, what? I don't know. For a defense that has looked so much sharper and has improved week after week and looked so much better against decently competitive teams, and for us to come out here and essentially forget how to tackle and not be able to get anybody on the ground and not be able to lock anybody up is just, it confuses me. But oh well.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth to say on this game. I will say Trinidad Chambliss is definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
He was phenomenal. Absolutely played lights out. He definitely is somebody that you have to respect in this game and just in the game of football in general. We do know that he's fighting for another year of eligibility, which I think he'll get pretty easily. And I mean, 30 for 46, 65.2%, which honestly, we did break up passes a lot more in the third and fourth quarter, I will say. So that's why that dropped a little bit, but still 362 yards. 8.7 adjusted yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns.
I mean,
you can't ignore how well they played and how well they prepared, and I think how much they had to prove in this game. It is hard to be the same team twice, and yeah.
Which is something I find very interesting about the upcoming semifinals, which we'll get to later. But all of the rematches that have taken place this season have gone to the opposite team. Because, like, Georgia beat Bama in the SEC championship after losing in the regular season. Ole Miss beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl after losing in the regular season. It's just, and I mean, Oklahoma beat Alabama in the regular season, and Bama turned around and beat Oklahoma. So it's just, the rematches are difficult. It's extremely difficult to beat a team twice in one season. Us beating Texas twice last year was not the norm. That was much more of the exception. But I'm very interested to see how Oregon, Indiana goes, which we'll get to a little bit more in a little bit. But anyway, I do want to point out, Frazier had 15 carries for 86 yards. I don't understand why we did not run the ball more than we did.
I think my issue with that is that we ran him repetitively, and so we became extremely predictable. That's where Bobo, I think he's had one, like, the best calling season that we've seen in ages. Still not an apologizer, but definitely not going to come for his neck like everybody else is after this game. I think that that's a little bit uncalled for. I think that you can't just write off the whole season off of this game because you're that upset. I think that honestly, we did have some really good calls.
We did.
We talked about the fake punt. I really loved that call.
I did too.
I loved, about that, the fake.
Yeah.
And
there were a couple other
Cash
calls.
Snowing was insane.
Yes.
A couple of other really great calls. And there was, I guess, while we're bringing up calling, going on fourth was not supposed to happen.
No, that was miscommunication, which is also not characteristic of a Kirby team. That's not something that typically happens. So it's something that it's like, you know what? Yeah, it sucks that it happened. It's really frustrating, but it's also not constant. So, you know, it happens every once in a while, and knowing that that was not the intention actually makes me feel a lot better about it.
I'm very grateful that that was one of the first things that they addressed in the press conference was we were not supposed to go on fourth. That wasn't miscommunication.
Yeah.
Ball was not supposed to be snapped. So,
I mean, it happens. I feel a lot better knowing that that was not the intention, but it just, all of our running plays, it felt like we were running the same thing play after play. And it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of ingenuity in like trying to find new ways to create a pocket or, you know, running him to the outside when everybody was on the line. It just, I don't know. The running calls just felt very vanilla to me.
Mm-hmm. I will say we really burn a hole through running Frazier up the middle, and he gets beat up.
He does.
He's kind of small for a running back, I will say.
And, I mean, he got hurt at the end of the game, which I still haven't seen anything on that injury, which I don't know if that's good or bad right now. But I think if he had not gotten hurt, we might have gotten that touchdown at the end of the game. And
I think that that's where we needed to run. It's hard to pick running to the outside because Ole Miss was so defensive on the outside. They had us beat at the perimeter every single time, which is insane. And just another note to how well Ole Miss's defense prepared for this.
Yes.
But I think on that note, that also comes down to being able to create creases. And that's something that we have struggled with. So I will say there were a couple really surprising where Frazier busted out for like 10 yards.
He did.
On some of those carries.
Oh, yeah.
But that was also kind of the exception and not the norm on this game.
Yeah.
I think that we, despite like not running enough in this game, I will say we ran Frazier to death.
Oh, we did.
Just the repetitiveness where we have other people on the field. Like, I wouldn't throw lateral passes to Cash Jones, but I might trust him with a handoff.
Yeah.
So I think things like that, or with the throw game, we just really couldn't look downfield, and that's what killed us on that. So where we needed to really run the ball, and we've had some really creative and really good like run calls.
We have. I just don't feel like I saw much of that.
No, not in this game.
No.
So there was that, and the play calling again. I don't think that Bobo deserves all of the crap and kind of threats that he's getting and coming for Bobo's job. I think that earlier in the season we definitely did do that a little bit, and it was still uncalled for then, I think, because this was, and I'll keep saying it, I think the best calling season that he's had.
Yes,
his
absolutely.
job is not going anywhere. So good on Kirby for defending him right after that game. And, you know, later.
I've seen a lot of people on social media that want Kirby's job. And I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, who are you going to get that's better than Kirby? because him and Cignetti are the best coaches in college football right now. And also, I think most of you people who want Kirby fired are new Georgia fans who have not been around for a while and who don't understand that the era of Georgia football that you're living in right now is like the best ever. And as soon as Kirby leaves, that's going away. So keep calling for him to be fired all you want. You don't want him gone at all. We want him to stay forever, actually.
That's where one of my favorite memes that I've seen right now, again, on people coming for Kirby's job, has been like old fans talking to new fans. It's like, no, this is what you signed up for. This is what you wanted.
Yes.
Nobody remembers, and my dad will be the first to tell you, nobody remembers the 20 years to 30 years before we won that first national championship where we
were terrible.
We were awful.
Yeah.
God awful. There's a reason grown men cried at that game.
Because it was 41 years in the making because we were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we're not even old enough to remember the really, really bad years because that was before our time. But still, when we were little, it was still not great.
As long as our parents have been alive,
yes.
It's been a hard life as a Georgia Bulldog.
Yes, it has. And it's so much better now. Like, you go to a New Year's Six bowl almost every year right now. I get that we didn't win the national championship, but also after winning 2 in a row, you've created an unrealistic expectation that you're going to win it every year. This is still a very successful season for the youngest team that Kirby's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe think about all of these things before you realize or keep saying that Kirby needs to be fired, because no, I want him to retire with Georgia.
Oh, yeah. And I think he will.
He will.
Yeah, so on that note of coaching and all that, people saying that the Falcons are going after Kirby and that Kirby might leave, get it out of your head.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was one of the funniest things I saw yesterday, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
But
speaking of, Falcons are cleaning house.
Yes! They are. They did actually fire their head coach and their GM.
And their CEO.
So there are new CEOs there really cleaning house, and I think it's about dang time because yikes. It is a hard life.
I would also like to if the Falcons had beat the Jets earlier this season, they would have won their division, but you lost to the Jets. How do you do that? Just,
you know what? It's postseason. We got to talk about everybody now. It's just,
wow.
You can't talk about Georgia and Atlanta not bring up the fact that the Falcons fired their head coach. So check in on your Falcons fans and make sure to congratulate them.
Yes. My favorite thing about that was me and you sending that post at the exact same time.
Like within 30 seconds of each other across state lines.
Yes.
So war is over, Falcons fans.
Yes, it is. So speaking of NFL, though, we had 4 players declare for the draft. Christian Miller, Zachariah Branch, who, I mean, we knew he was going to go, but golly, we're going to miss him.
Leading single-season receiver, setting school records. He really was an incredible addition to Georgia's team this year, and I don't think we would have been nearly as successful without him. So
absolutely not.
Yeah.
So best of luck to him. I think he's going to be a really good pro receiver, but we're going to miss him a lot. But and then CJ Allen and Oscar Delp, which neither one of those surprised me, but still 2 big players that we're going to miss. But
I'll be really excited to see come the combine in March to see how everybody does, and we'll definitely be doing a big episode on that. So
absolutely,
we'll keep watch on. It's still super early in the declaration era, I will say, but we were one of the first teams out, so that's why we have 4 popping up so early. But I think as we'll see in the next month or so, we'll have a really good idea of who all is declaring, and then we'll start making predictions looking for the combine. So expect a couple of really big episodes on that.
Yes. And then before we wrap up the Sugar Bowl, I want to talk about the ending here for a second. This is one of the wildest endings I've seen in a football game. So Ole Miss kicked off the ball, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. It
6
was Ole
seconds
Miss.
left on the clock.
Yeah. And the ball hit the pylon in the Georgia end zone with 1 second left on the clock, making it a safety. Ole Miss got 2 more points, making it 39-34. But everybody is rushing the field. The employees are bringing the stage on with the trophy for Ole Miss to go get up there and claim their win and everything. And the refs are pushing everybody off the field saying, no, there's 1 second left on the clock.
Just biggest slap in the face, honestly. But the refs did do everything right. Unfortunately, there was 1 second left in regulation, so they do have to play that 1 second. But we had issues with Ole Miss rushing the field early last year. So
yeah, that we did. And then it happened again. There was still another second left on the clock, and they had to push the stage people off again. But it's just, Like, I know they had to do it, but it was not an Iron Bowl situation where, you know, Georgia could have recovered a kick and run it 100 yards downfield. That would have been almost impossible to have scored on that play. And they did everything they could. The hook and ladder worked for a little bit, but it was just not going to
the
work.
hot potato, I will say, was very entertaining, but it was also like, just get off the field. Like, I was dying at home, I'm going to be honest.
It was just like, just call it. Just make it stop. Just make it stop. Yeah. But oh well, it was just interesting.
Something that has to be brought up. The refs did do everything right, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Which cannot speak for the rest of the game, obviously, but that last second and a half, excruciating like 5 minutes was called correctly. Yeah. So moving on to player news. So the portal has officially been open for 6 days, which is like 12 years in portal news.
Yeah.
There's thousands of players in the portal. We definitely have some top contenders in the portal, some teams that are really dominating right now, and some that will catch up. But
or not.
I think one of the biggest things was Texas had like 5 people leave.
Most of them running backs. I think they lost 4 running backs, which is really interesting to me. Kind of makes me wonder what's going on at Texas. But their top running back, like literally RB1, Wisner, committed to Florida State, which came out of left field for me. Like, you sent it to me and I had to double check that it was real, because I looked at it and I was like, there's no way.
It makes you kind of sit and wonder, because it's not like he's from Florida. He's from Texas.
Yeah, it really does make you wonder what's happening at Texas right now.
And I think he had a really good thing going for him at Texas. I think he was
the guy.
He was the Texas man.
Yeah, he was. So, and to lose 4.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
There might be other things going on behind the scenes, which is usually what we see in this kind of post early off-season kind of thing. And I think after playoffs, more will come out if there is something huge happening in-house, which I think there is. But it's interesting. Kind of makes you sit there and turn your head a little bit. Like Wisner to FSU. Interesting.
And I would also like to point out that former Florida quarterback DJ Lagway visited Florida State yesterday, I think, and left very pleased. So maybe we see him going there. I really don't know. But Florida State has picked up a few, I think. I've seen several commit down there. So maybe they'll have a better season than they did this year.
We'll see.
That's also a pretty low bar, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think top of the list right now we have Indiana, who is dominating the transfer portal right now in the early days.
Yeah.
4 elite transfers, 8 in, only 1 has left, adding $4.8 million to their adjusted NIL value. So they're playing the transfer portal like Ohio State, which is, I think, keeping up with the times. I think that Kurt Cignetti is definitely one of the smartest head coaches, and I'll put Kirby Smart up there.
Yeah.
But I think that he's doing very well with what he has and adjusting to the times very well.
Absolutely. But they coach very differently, because Kirby is very much a recruit him out of high school. If they go in the transfer portal, chances are they didn't fit our coaching style anyway. Almost all of our starters were recruited out of high school and are homegrown. Branch was, again, an exception and not the norm. He was a portal pickup who ended up being a huge difference maker. But still, most of our guys didn't come from the portal.
Somewhat 90% of Georgia's team is homegrown. And
I think so.
Yeah.
But Indiana is not that way. They operate out of the portal almost exclusively. And I mean, it works for them. Cignetti has done an incredible job. And I saw something about the way that he coaches is like, we don't expect our coaches to put in extra hours. We have a set practice schedule. We don't go late nights. We don't do anything crazy like that. It's just you come to practice and you go home, which it's just interesting to me. I don't know. It's obviously working for him. He has done an incredible job up there. And I think if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, you need new voters. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
I think there's a lot of things we need new voters on, but that's a discussion for another, complaints for another day.
Yeah. But Georgia's currently 15 in the transfer portal right now. We've had 1 in, Khalil Barnes. He's a 3-star safety from Clemson. But we've had 7 out, Roderick Robinson being one of them. But I don't know. I'm not worried. Most of our transfers, again, are not difference makers. They might get a few snaps here and there, but our everyday guys typically don't leave.
Yeah, which is something I will say Georgia does pretty well with players staying. And like you've said, if they leave, then it's not anybody who's ever got into the field or didn't fit the culture kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do think that maybe when it comes to, the next couple of years and recruiting and everything, we might need to utilize the transfer portal a little bit more.
I don't disagree with that.
I think that we definitely need to adjust with the times. I think that we can't be totally old-fashioned. And I mean, I'm pretty traditionalist when it comes to the transfer portal and NIL and just the way that it's running and eligibility rules and all that. Like, I will be the first to advocate for it. But I do think that, like, it's never going to go away.
No.
I think that there can be things to adjust and make it better, but as is with everything. Definitely, though, I think Georgia needs to adjust and pick up a little bit. I think we need to put a little bit more energy into recruiting from the transfer portal. Not to say we're hosting 3 today.
We are.
Which is big.
Yeah.
We have a pair of wide receivers, Trey Richardson from Vandy and Quasi Gilmer from UCLA. And then defensive lineman Morris Williams from Auburn, who is the number 3 DL in the portal right now and number 39 overall.
Which is huge.
And I guess while we're talking about it, everybody go home and check on your Auburn fans because they do not get a day off.
Oh my goodness. It's like one of the worst mass exoduses I've seen. They have 10 in and 32 out, including their promising young quarterback and their 5-star wide receiver, Cam Coleman, who is a huge loss for them because he was one of their only playmakers this season. So I would love for Georgia to get him. I don't think he's going to come to Georgia. From what I've seen, he's already visited with Texas and A&M. So we'll see. He hasn't committed yet, so still time. But
yeah, obviously it's still early. They did gain a 4-star from USF, Brian Brown, who is one of among 9 players from USF, which makes sense. It's where their coach is coming from.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we definitely saw that same kind of thing with Florida.
Yes, there's a lot going to Florida, which is very interesting. A lot of them from Georgia Tech because Florida got one of their coaches. But Aaron Philo, backup quarterback, is going to Florida. Bailey Stockton, wide receiver, is going to Florida. Tech has had a lot of guys leave too.
Yeah, so check on your Tech fans. They are also kind of struggling in the postseason.
Yeah. But Florida has had 24 out, which, I mean, given that they're pretty much doing a complete coaching overhaul, it makes sense. So we'll see. I'll be very interested to see kind of how Florida is this season. It's obviously going to be a rebuilding year, but I don't know. It's just very interesting because I know some Florida fans are really excited about this hire and some are really, really not. I don't know.
Yeah, they've had a few players come in from Tulane, not as many as I would say Auburn is getting from USF by any means, but I think it's something worth noting and pretty expected.
I agree.
So I think that's all we have right now on the portal, but obviously it is still very early in the postseason. It has, although I will keep saying, only been open for 6 days. There are still thousands of players. And On3 is really good about putting expected transfers in there. So it's interesting to see kind of where the wind is blowing right now. I will say that we definitely have a long way to go.
That we do.
So I think come around March time, we'll see much more solidified transfer portal people, but
I agree.
We'll keep up with it. Right now, the playoff is still
priority.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of, semifinals start this week. The Fiesta Bowl is going to be Miami versus Ole Miss, and Miami is pretty heavily favored. So I don't know. I think this will be a really good game because I think both teams have really good offenses. Miami's offensive line is incredible. I think Ole Miss is going to have a really hard time punching through and getting pressure on Beck because I think that's how you have to beat him, is put pressure on him, make him throw to the other team, which he tends to do. But I really hope Ole Miss wins this game. I really, really hope Ole Miss wins this game. I'm not sure that they will. I think Miami is the better team out of these two.
I think Miami is my pick going forward. I'd say with gritted teeth, don't you worry. But I think that if Ole Miss is going to win this game, that, again, they're going to have to find some way to put pressure on the inside and make somebody miss, or they had some really good edge rushers. I will say they really moved around us and broke us up. So those edge rushers, I think, are going to have to be utilized. I think playing back to the outside is something that their defense really won with.
Miami's better than you think they are. They've got a couple running backs who are really good. I think it's going to come down to if Ole Miss can control the run and break through the line and get a little bit of pressure on Beck, then they're going to win this game because I think their offense is better, but their defense is not quite as good.
I think that when it comes down to quarterbacks, it's going to be a throwing game.
Yeah.
I think I trust Chambliss more than I trust Beck, but I think overall I trust Miami more than I trust Ole Miss, which is kind of where it's going right now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of also And I know Georgia's not in, but whatever. Kind of a breath of fresh air to see something different
It
in
is.
the playoffs, which is why we kept expanding in the first place.
Like, I can appreciate kind of where we've gotten to, and like these are the 4 teams that are left. As much as it like pains me that Georgia's not in it, like I can definitely understand why people are so excited about this Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
But the Peach Bowl is going to be Oregon, Indiana, which is a rematch of earlier this season. Oregon's only loss this season is to Indiana, but all of the rematches thus far have been won by the opposite team.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams have 5 straight wins. Indiana is very heavily favored. I don't know.
If they lose, it's going to be right here.
Oh, it is. My gut says that Indiana's the better team. However, it is really hard to beat a team twice in a season. So I don't know. And I think Oregon has had this game circled since they won, and probably kind of looking ahead since they lost the first time, being like, okay, well, if we run into Indiana again, how are we going to beat them? Because we have something to prove now, which Oregon has shown that when they have something to prove, they play pretty well. So I don't know. I think this will be an interesting one. I don't really know who's going to win.
I want Indiana to win it all.
Yes.
That is my pick. Like, if I'm the scriptwriter, other than Georgia, obviously, but with what we have left, I would pick Indiana to win it all.
I think I would too.
But again, as we pointed out and as history has proved, Heismans don't win it all.
No.
And I have a feeling Indiana might lose this game.
I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I think Indiana's the better team, but I think it's going to be a 1-score game regardless. I really don't know who's going to come out the winner.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll pick Indiana just because.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, I'll pick Oregon just because, just to have something different out there.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Bridget.
How's it going with you guys this week?
Sad.
Could be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's looking kind of sad for the Bridget Spell mascot bracket, too.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
You know, I do have to say, though, it is doing better than I first anticipated.
That goes for both of us.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So, who knows? Maybe, you know what? There will be some victories here.
You've got one really good victory that none of us thought you were going to get, so.
Yeah, right? I don't think anybody expected that one.
No, I think Miami, Ohio State can really be your big trophy win right now.
Yeah.
I think so, too. I mean, from going from the first round, just like looking at the bracket in general, obviously Oregon was going to beat James Madison, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty solid guess, but the Oregon Duck has proceeded to prove its dominance. And then we have Alabama and Oklahoma, which I said Oklahoma would win from the mascot perspective because, you know, they just wouldn't be there anyway. And they didn't lose by a ton.
Well, you did. You had the People's Choice right. You did.
Yes. But you know what? Again, football skills, Alabama, that was probably, you know, not an accuracy thing, which is why it's fun with the mascots, right? You know?
Okay, so let's play a little update game. If you had to pick the 4 mascots that are left, where do you think you would be going? Because we have the Oregon Duck
Versus the Hoosiers.
versus the Hoosiers, the people of Indiana.
Yes.
Which I still can't believe. And then we have the Ole Miss Squirrel Bear Sharks.
Yes.
Versus,
or the Rebels, as they're officially called.
Versus the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, for the first one, I do have to say, from a mascot perspective, I think the Oregon Duck is going to beat the Hoosiers, just because I still don't really understand what a Hoosier is.
Nobody
And I
knows.
think that a massive duck with teeth could beat them.
Solid.
Specifically the duck with teeth.
Yes.
Not a normal duck, but the Oregon Duck, yes.
Yes.
The Oregon Duck with teeth.
Yes.
All right, I love the visual.
Yes.
All right, let's move to the other side of the bracket.
With the other side of the bracket, you know, this one's a little bit more difficult because the Squirrel Bear Sharks could be like Sharknado. you know, because it's like the hurricane and then the shark just uses it. But the shark isn't attacking other people. The hurricane would be attacking the squirrel bear shark.
Ooh, true.
True.
So therefore, I'm going to have to stick with the hurricanes on this one.
Okay, so then who's your national championship winner between the Hurricanes and the Ducks?
The victor of Bridget's mascot bracket, from my perspective, is the powerful Oregon Duck.
I think that's a decent choice.
Yeah, he'd definitely be the people's choice as far as mascot.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So props to you, Oregon Duck. We give you the trophy of Hail Mary Hotline mascot competition.
All right, we will definitely keep an eye on your bracket, Bridge, as we move on to the last 3 games of the season.
Yes, we will.
I mean, with that being said, get yourself some Pop-Tarts and enjoy them and cheer on the Oregon Duck. So thank you for dialing into Hail Mary Hotline this week. This is your host, Bridget.
This is your host, Taylor.
This is your host, Sarah.
Go Dogs!
Gig 'em.
That was good.